Derbyites, we're here to talk about episode 7 of season 2 of Outlander, Faith, and wow, it was a really, really good one. I'm here with Amanda Spears. Amanda, tell us, what were your reactions to the episode?
This was the episode of the season. It was amazing. And 2 years ago, if we were under the old panel tape system, if she was able to sneak into the top 6 or top 7, depending on how close they were, she would go from 6th or 7th place to us seriously debating whether or not this episode could make her one of those kind of surprise winners.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, the Emmys, for everyone who doesn't know, the Emmys these days are more of a popularity contest. And let's just get this out of the way now, because a lot of the fans take us to task about this because they're upset that we're not saying that Outlander will win everything. Now, let's be real. It's really difficult to crack the Emmys. They love their favourites. They vote for the shows that you would normally expect, like Game of Thrones and Better Call Saul and all those kinds of shows. And yet we now think that Outlander is just as deserving as the others. We totally agree with you. And we think someone like Katrina Balfe is probably the best bet in terms of the actors at the moment. This would be her episode. I totally 100% agree with you.
It was from start to finish her show. And I know everyone loves Sam, but it was almost better that he only appeared at the end. He didn't take away anything from her. He wasn't in Tobias's scene. And she just kind of went through all the characters that we've come to love before we left Paris. And it was amazing. It would be a perfect Emmy submission.
Yeah, totally. Let's quickly talk about Sam, because I think that Sam is so underestimated by many. I mean, he has just this huge following of devout fans that love him. He's a really, really dashing, good-looking guy. He's really, really nice in person. But I think he's also a really good actor. And the 2 scenes that he had at the end were great. He was tearing up. You know, he was really hurt that Claire said that she did hate him for a while. He was all bearded up because he'd been in the Bastille for a couple of months. And then at the cemetery at the end, you know, he did a great job. But this was Katrina 100%. And let's just go through. Before we do, I also want to give kudos to Metin Hussein, the director. Again, brilliant job. And Tony Graffia, the writer, amazing. You really probably have written the best episode of the series to date. But let's go through now the episode. Shall we begin with that beginning scene? That was future Claire with, I'm told, Brianna, the daughter that she ends up having with Jamie. It's like a little gift to the fans to say, we're going to go through some really heartbreaking shit right now, but let's give you this little positive gift to begin with. Is that how you saw it?
Yeah, it was nice because we knew she was pregnant from episode 1 again. And those of us who haven't read the books didn't really know what had happened. And it was cute. And then we just watched her go through so much pain, losing her baby and then nearly dying. It was heartbreaking.
Yeah, I loved the way they did the scenes in the hospital. The Virgin Mary statue crashes on the floor. It's like, because the other nun says, you know, look, you can take comfort in the Virgin Mary. She'll look after you. And the look on Claire's face was like, are you kidding me? And then bang, the statue just shatters. And for all the atheists out there, it was probably a really great moment. But I want to give a shout out to Frances Delator, who plays Mother Hildegard. She's had a few scenes throughout the last few episodes. I think she's been a real highlight, and this was a great episode for her as well, because she was there with Claire the whole time. Just she was the one that delivered the news that her baby had died, and those scenes in the beginning were just perfect. Really, they were great.
And that scene where she is holding the baby and her rich French friend that I can't remember, who's also pregnant, finally has to come and kind of coax the baby away from her. It was just, I started tearing up. It was incredible from start to finish. And Sam tried to steal the episode at the end, but there just was no way in less than 5 minutes he was going to be able to do it. That's a hard feat for any actor
Yeah,
after what Katrina had done.
exactly. And, you know, he tweeted earlier today that we should all be looking out for the episode and how amazing Katrina was. He's such a generous co-star. He really does love working with Katrina. He's mentioned that to me in the past when I've had the pleasure of interviewing him, and I just can imagine that the whole cast and crew would have really been behind Katrina. This is a very it's a subject that a lot of people deal with in their lives, and I'm sure it would have been very difficult and challenging to bring that to the screen in a genuine way, but they did it really well. And for me, it was the cemetery scene at the end when they're kind of hunched over and kneeling and looking at this gravestone, a very simple gravestone of Faith's remains. They have to leave her in France and go back to the Highlands. That really got me. I started even choking up, and I've got a black soul, so I just was really, really taken aback by that.
It was very sweet the way it ended, because of course we are going back to Scotland, but before we do, we had one more scene in Versailles, and this, for the set decorators, this has to be your episode also, because here we are in this beautiful room with the dark blue sky and the lights that look like stars, and Katrina is basically holding a mini trial for Master Raymond and Saint-Germain, and she's just showing the scenery. She just gave us so many different looks, basically. It wasn't just all sadness where we kind of got to the point where like, oh, come on now. We really got to see her kind of work that room.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
Did you notice when she was giving the cup to Saint-Germain, the look on her face said it all. That was another really impressive performance for her. Like her acting range really shines through in these very simple moments where she's not even talking. She just gave him this look, like she knew what she was about to do. She was about to kill the guy. And he knew as well. By the way, Stanley Weber, once again, knocking it out of the park as Saint-Germain. Brilliant performance. He knew it was coming. He's a villain, and we find out he's the one that was poisoning her. He takes that chalice. He's gonna die, and he does beautifully, very, very dramatically, which is perfect for this. But yeah.
Yeah, I thought so too. He fell very dramatically.
But I totally agree. That star chamber, that private star chamber of the kings, I had no idea what to expect. And then when they went in there and you could see the lights shining through that blue ceiling, I just thought these production designers have outdone themselves. There's no better looking show on television. It's not an exaggeration. This outdoes Game of Thrones, even Downton Abbey, which we have always said is its toughest competition at the Emmys for production.
This year, at the moment, it probably is, because it's a favorite. Yeah. And it's its last season, and that's something that we have to take into consideration. It should be nominated. If it's not nominated, something's wrong. It should easily be able to make a list of 5.
Yeah, and that goes as well for the costumes, but the production designers need to get special mention this time, because it was so beautifully done. I never thought they were going to be able to top the Versailles scenes when we first meet Black Jack in the courtyard in the gardens, because that was stunning. A lot of that was probably sets up already there, but this time they had to build this. It was just breathtaking, and one of the highlights of the episode. With so much going on, we're still talking about the Star Chamber and how amazing it looked.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. I know people don't love that we spend so much time talking about this, but
yeah,
it's worth talking about. It was gorgeous. It was the perfect room to have something like this in, and even the way she was dressed in the scene was perfect.
Yeah. So I also wanted to talk about how they explained why Jamie flew off the handle. So last week we were kind of spitballing what's happening with with Fergus, and he's done something to make Jamie go after Randall and have the duel. And I had some theories because I was being told from the book reading perspective, that there's more to it than that. And you knew already, you had seen the episode, and you had been very good not saying a word.
Oh, it was very hard. It's
I know,
very hard.
I know. But they did that. So we know why now. We can see that Jamie had really good reason for doing that. But I found it really hard to watch Randall attempting to, or even maybe raping Fergus. I'm not sure how far they got, but it didn't look so good for him. It was really hard to watch.
Yeah, it was. And again, I really hope later on in the season and for the additional seasons that there is another way of moving this plot along that doesn't involve rape, because that seems to be their default. That might be my one criticism of the series.
Yeah, and I think it's healthy that we criticise, because we're not just pom-pom throwing fans, but we love the show. And I've got to admit, first season, I liked it. I recognised that it was well done, but I wasn't really that into it. I just thought it was a really lovely show, but it wasn't one of my favourites. I've really grown to love the show. Honestly, I think that I look forward to it. I think it's beautifully made, and I don't have a lot of criticisms for it anymore. I don't think it's, I used to think it was melodramatic, maybe a little. It's not. It's just the way that it's made. It's probably how the books play. And I guess there's a lot of rape in the books. That's what we keep being told by all the people who are commenting on these videos. We get that. But it would be lovely not to have to keep going back to that default. I agree.
And that's just one criticism. And again, it shouldn't take away from how amazing Katrina was. And it was just such a showcase. And one of the things I looked up after this is that the Starz Network has only had one acting nomination ever. And that was Chiwetel Ejiofor the year of his Oscar nomination. So it is a very big uphill climb she faces getting in.
They just, at the moment, Starz has got a lot of excellent programming. Like, I watch a lot of stuff on Starz, and they need to just really, really work this hard, because they have a good chance. Let's talk about her odds. At Gold Debbie at the moment, she's in 7th spot. She's got 22-1 odds. That's pretty good. The people ahead of her are all the usual suspects: Viola Davis, Robin Wright, Claire Danes, Taraji P. Henson, Juliana Margulies, and Tatiana Maslany. She's ahead of people like Kerry Russell, Vera Farmiga, Michelle Dockery, Kristen Ritter, Gillian Anderson, Shiri Appleby, Ruth Wilson, Taylor Schilling, Kerry Washington, Journey Smollett-Bell, Eva Green, and Alexa Davalos. So they're all brilliant actresses who are carrying their shows. It's not easy to get into the Emmys, people. Like, we all need to be real now, but let's just imagine that she can sneak in, because remember, last year, Tatiana Maslany did it for Orphan Black, BBC America, not a big Emmy player. So much internet affection for her, so much critical acclaim for her. People were getting the shits that she was being snubbed, and the voters from the Academy actually took notice. Now, I'm hoping the same thing's going to happen for Katrina.
Well, I don't want to rain on anyone's parade, but let's remember that we all made a very critical error last year when we ignored Tatiana Maslany's SAG nomination. That was our big mistake last year in not seeing that coming.
Yeah.
Katrina doesn't have a SAG nomination that would make me go, okay, you know what? Maybe I should put her in. I'm considering it. But right now I have 5 of the 6, and then I have Michelle Dockery in the 6th spot, because I'm not convinced that she can't slip back in there after she's only missed 1 year like Elizabeth Moss did.
Yeah, we've got to remind the people watching this that Emmy voters are renowned for being a little lazy. They do like to go back to their usual suspects. Michelle Dockery is a known quantity. She's been nominated many times before. Downton Abbey's a favourite of the Academy. It's very likely that that is actually what's going to happen. It's a safe bet, but it's also a possibility. They do surprise us from time to time. You get those really interesting left field choices, and Katrina Balfe would be one of those. We also have to point out that the SAG voters are similar to the Academy. They're peers, they're actors who are voting for this, whereas even though Katrina has a Hollywood Foreign Press Golden Globe nomination, that's like 84 foreign journalists who vote for this thing. It's not really comparable. So you can't just say because she has a Globe nod, she's going to get an Emmy nom. It doesn't really work that way. What does work is stars working really hard and getting the voters to pay attention to the show, and hopefully they seeing this episode and then realizing that it's a no-brainer. She does deserve a nomination.
This would be the one to send out to Emmy voters. It is, from start to finish, her show. It's perfect. And if let's also remember that there is that rule. If it's like within 1 or 2% of the vote for 6th place, they will have a 7th spot. We've seen up to 8 in the supporting actress and the comedy side. So it is very possible that there could be 7. And if there is enough support for her, she is new. Kerry Russell's never gotten in.
No.
They don't seem to like The Leftovers.
No. It could be something like, I have a feeling if anything from Left Field will happen, it'll be like Vera Farmiga, who has been nominated before. There's been a lot of focus on the recent episodes of Bates Motel and how brilliant she is in that. So that's a possibility. Gillian Anderson is an Emmy veteran. She's back on the X-Files. It's certainly a possibility. And also, Kerry Washington's been nominated before for Scandal. It's a possibility as well. So let's not get too excited about Emmy prospects, but we're just getting to the point now where it's actually not necessarily that far-fetched to say that Katrina Balf's in the running.
Oh yeah, this episode puts her directly in the running. And if she does get nominated, we're going to be the ones debating with everyone else that you should be taking her very seriously. If they're watching the episodes at all, which we hope they do, this is going to be right up there with what would probably be Viola Davis's episode, what would be Taraji P. Henson's episode. We never know what Robin Wright's going to submit. She hasn't really ever chosen correctly in the past. She's had trouble submitting the correct episode in the past. So she could definitely go from 6th place to 1st or 2nd very easily on this episode.
Yeah, and I just checked on IMDb. This episode's being rated at 9.9 out of 10 for the time being, which is the highest score of any episode of this show. And not only is it a performance that you need to really pay attention to, the episode itself plays very well. It just goes by so fast. It's beautifully paced. It's beautiful to look at. I couldn't find fault in it, so that helps her as well. Sometimes it hurts a contender when the episode is not necessarily very good, but the performance is great. She doesn't have that problem. So we don't know what's to come. We have a few more episodes to go until the season is over. I can't believe we're saying this. It's been so much build up for this 2nd season. It's almost done. But that being said, we're going back to Scotland. Are you going to miss Paris? Because I sure am.
I am, but if this was the last episode in Paris, it was great the way it was done, again, because we didn't have a lot of Tobias or Sam. It was kind of nice to say goodbye to all the Parisian characters that we've come to love, because she did just kind of go through each one at a time.
Yeah, I think so too. It was a nice ending for the Saint-Germain subplot. We got to see a bit more of King Louis. I mean, I love that character. I love it how there was a bit of levity in the scene after the Star Chamber when she's resigned herself to the fact that she's going to have sex with this guy to get Jamie out of prison, and she's lying back thinking, oh God, here we go, it's going to take forever. And it was like 3 thrusts and he was done. I thought that was hilarious. And, he's so foppish and he's so ridiculous. And obviously he's not a stayer. And I just thought that was a nice little tick for comedy before we got back into all the heavy stuff again.
Yeah, it was a great scene. It was funny and it was nice, just again with the pacing and it was perfectly put together, this episode. Everyone involved should be very proud of this one. This one was perfect from start to finish.
Yeah, totally agree. Well, everybody, thanks for your time. We will be back next week to talk about the next episode as we get closer and closer to the season finale. What on earth could we possibly have in store for us to go? I have no idea. I haven't read a single page of the books. Amanda has no idea. We're new viewers to this. And
we're not going on Wikipedia and looking up the book either.
We have no clue. And that's the beauty of these recaps, we hope. And so look, stick with Gold Derby. We've got plenty of Outlander coverage to come. In the meantime, Amanda, we'll see you next week. And hopefully next episode is just as good as this one.